A while ago, my brother threw this game at me called the Mobius Machine. It's a 2D metroidvania that takes place in an alien sci-fi setting. Now, one look at the Steam achievements told me those weren't happening. Speedrun the game at least twice and take down the last boss without taking damage. I don't think so. But I did still really want to play through the game, and the boss fights are pretty neat. Unfortunately, even 100%ing the in-game percentage is tedious as heck. So instead, let's just check out the game itself and call it a day. This is how I spent 13 hours beating the Mobius Machine. We select standard mode as our difficulty and appear before this large spinning machine. With our blaster, we can shoot open new doorways and bring down this flying squid monster. For sanity's sake, I played through with mouse and keyboard. This makes aiming with that cursor 10 times easier. Crouching, jumping, going up ladders, all this stuff helps us move through to a large computer system, where we are promptly eaten by whatever that thing was. Apparently that was just a nightmare. Thank goodness. As a distress signal calls out to our spaceship, we move on in to attempt a rescue. Ah yes, a perfect landing as per usual. Our robo friend explodes before our eyes, leaving us stranded on a mysterious world. Time to get to work. So the blue meter under our health bar works very similarly to Hollow Knight, which no, I haven't played, even though that's kind of a sin to any Metroidvania fan. Well, breaking boxes and defeating enemies drops blue energy you can consume to refill health. Most of what we're dealing with is oozy pustules and pokey growths. The station here seems to have become overgrown with strange alien material. Some of it breaks with our touch, while others need a few shots blasted into them. Minutes later, we reach a large terminal workbench. It's here we can purchase the shotgun module for short-range high damage. Up above is a first of many checkpoint saves and a new ability that lets me consume energy to overdrive my weapon's damage. Spoiler, I wouldn't really use this much. Not only does it not seem needed, but I chose to save my power for healing instead. With the station available, we move forward a bit to discover Sector 1's map. Each sector of the game has a map that you must find in order to see checkpoints, and where you should go in general. There are 7 sectors of this science station in total, and we must traverse all of them in order to find a way off this hellscape. Sector 1 is fairly simple, as we don't have many modes of movement yet. You shoot down anything with teeth that sees you as breakfast and collect the thruster pack. Holding shift, we can zoom a short distance across the floor. Useful for goopy sections that break under your feet and always nice for going fast. Falling down into a large pit, we encounter well, I'll call it the shooty blob. With no names for bosses, you gotta kinda come up with this stuff on your own. Pretty simple concept for a first boss, although it didn't stop me from dying and dying again. It took me a little bit to get really comfortable with the feel of this game, even though it looks really easy. Spawning enemies and the boss itself drop energy as we shoot them. As long as we position ourselves correctly so as to not get hit by the green plasma, we're looking pretty good. Now the big blob plants himself into the ground and becomes a stationary turret. Only issue with this is our gun doesn't quite have the range to hit him from just anywhere. Make sure not to jump too late as he rolls, because that move is actually tricky to time correctly. Things got a little messy towards the end, as I was completely discombobulated. Trying to use the shotgun left too many extra minions in the arena. Heal up just enough to continue on, and there's one giant floater taken down. Okay, pretty cool first boss. I have to say this is making me excited for the next one. He was blocking our climbing axe. Any rocky terrain can be climbed up using this. Not structures, obviously, but if it's made of rock, we can slide down easy peasy. As we explore, there are upgrades scattered around, letting you increase your different gun modes' damage. I probably won't cover where most of these come from, because personally I found the bosses to be a highlight and not the platforming itself. This does lead me to the extractor, which gathers energy a tad further away from us. Inside the spaceship graveyard, our little astroneer wonders if any colonists could still be alive to help us. Unless you count this freaky worm monster as one of the colonists, I think we're out of luck, unfortunately. But hey, at least we get to fight another boss. Oh boy, was this one a doozy. The idea is you slide down one wall and shoot the growths sticking out. Avoid getting any more green plasma on you than is necessary, then climb back up the other side to do the same. With each growth destroyed, a large monster will poke its head out from under its shell. Now is your time to pew him down as much as you can. I died twice here as well because this game has a large huge problem anytime you want to get up off of your climbing axe. It just doesn't really want to do it. Like, I still, after beating the game, can't figure out how to get up every single time without having a seizure. You really want to use your momentum and not let go of the space bar until you're all the way up. Any early slip and you'll waste a ton of your damage opportunity. Aside from that, he's relatively no issue at all. One phase and we've got him at around half health. Climb down the right, climb up the left, and we get back at it. He does fling around plasma out of his head. Wait, what the heck? I got like no time at all here. Must have done too well the first time. Anyway, the green ping pong balls almost can't hit you at the top, leading to a decisive victory. Moments later, we reached the device that was in our dream before the crash. Running on these allows for fast travel to any other hamster wheel found around the map, which is great because in Sector 1 again, we find the sniper module. You can swap between sniper and shotgun at any time. The sniper being for long-range gunplay, as you probably could have guessed. Sector 2, not all that different from Sector 1 if I'm being honest. The place is definitely way more dangerous as basically around every corner is a new alien ready to chase me down. The most notable of the bunch were several adorable snails who let me jump on their backs to cross radioactive water. At the workbench, we spend some of our resources to increase max HP. Good, because more infrastructure gives out on me, revealing a roly-poly slug creature. Hey, this one's pretty darn easy, I might do this on the first go. And he has a second phase. Of course he does. About 4 deaths against this worm, as he can be way trickier than anything we've faced so far. To start out, he'll poke out one head at a time. If he's at the bottom, our shotgun puts in work. If he's at the top, our machine gun reaches him well enough. Avoid the plasma as per usual. Well, do it better than I did. But yeah, the shotgun absolutely destroyed him. I was very surprised by this. Gotta climb up as high as possible to make sure our jump clears him, and then he splits into 2, making things way tougher. Now you really gotta be on your toes. Little bitty worms need exploded instantly when they appear. Jump over the bigger ones as each rolls, climb up and jump much higher over when they dig underground, and all the while try to fire at the teeth. What was really confusing to me was their health bar kept changing randomly. In the heat of battle, I didn't really notice this, but actually both have a separate health bar. I think overall the lesson to be learned here was aggression. If you get up close and personal with a shotgun, you can end the battle before either worm knows what's happened. But try and play things safe with the auto rifle and you keep making mistake after mistake. The booster can slide over when either tunnels if you time it right, letting us even things back out into a 1v1. If the queen crawler couldn't beat me with number advantage, she surely isn't beating me after. Oh nice, we get our hands on a weight belt. Up until now, water forced us to float on top. Now we can traverse the depths as easily as we can to land. Big bloaters with plasma, shooty plants of doom, and starfish with plenty of teeth. Maybe there was a good reason we weren't allowed down here. Wait, so Sector 2 leads into Sector 4? Well, this map is making no sense at all. Confirming my confusion is a message stating Sector 3 needs to be cleared first for improved diving gear. Okay, tell me where the heck that is and I'll go there. Ah, I see what I did. I went down after the last boss instead of left. Heck, even that information wasn't enough to find my way through. In the end, I had to find a specific map of the whole game online and compare notes. Finally, after wandering around for ages, we have arrived in Sector 3, where various forms of robots guard the area from aliens. And me, of course. Since I guess to them, technically I would be an alien. We spent a lot of time out of water and in water. I guess since Sector 4 was entirely underwater, it makes sense for Sector 3 to be kind of an in-between point. Jumping over rocks on conveyor belts, avoiding rockets that blow up your platforms, collecting a mortar module after a longer section, plus lots and lots of platforming. Actually, platforming in the Mobius Machine is pretty great. There's lots of different objects that jump over or past in a variety of ways. Why I ultimately decided not to 100% this game was the map. Truly one of the worst map systems I've ever seen. I mean, without looking at one fully uncovered online, I would never have even finished this. Especially since nothing you do gets cleared until you find the map terminal. There was one very notable part of this adventure here consisting of a large underwater lake. A truly massive bit where any mistake has you falling way down into the water where deadly robots come out of the woodworks. I stopped off at a teleporter to increase battery amount, upgrade the machine gun, and apparently do nothing else. Blueprints are also very confusing. Even when you collect them, you can't always actually purchase the new item. And there's no explanation for this since the terminal just kinda shuts off. Those little tidbits aside, it's down below a lake where we encounter the Deadly Robot, a trash compactor turned into a lean, mean fighting machine. I died only once, since at first sight I didn't even notice this was a boss. Took me by surprise, which gave me a good laugh, I must admit. For the entire duration, crystal rocks fall down into a grinder. You need to jump over these or be pulled down with them. 2 small turrets are always out of our range, except we have a nice sniper module which can easily dispatch both one at a time. For a brief moment, we can fire at the contraption to damage it, although soon after, it activates a flamethrower forcing us back. A common theme I noticed among these bosses is you gotta try to not get overrun. Each will spawn some type of minion that is mostly harmless, though you still need to prioritize them, or what is mostly harmless becomes the main problem. Our thruster pack is so helpful for outrunning fire, and while that's all there is to this fight, it takes some time to complete. You don't get long at all to gun down the main machine. Ironically, it's one time where powering up our bullets would have been really helpful. And also ironically, or unironically, depending on how that works, this is one time where I don't have any energy. There isn't much dropped in this arena, so it looks like we're just in for a long one. Considering it took me ages to make it down here, and the machine was hidden behind several long conveyor belts and mining outposts, this ended up being a real highlight for me. A few last shots from our blaster, and Smelter the Furnace Bot is cooked, which unlocks the Underwater Thruster Pack, in addition to our arsenal that allows for supersonic travel underwater. And the game uses this time to get us more than familiar with it. I think I've mentioned this before, but for me, Metroidvanias are often way more fun if you can move fast. So speeding past plasma plants, blowing up mines, and zooming through various submarines is an absolute win for me. Sector 4 is again mostly underwater. Much larger robots stand watch, including enormous submarines that seem really challenging, until you cheese them by exploiting their inability to look straight down. In fact, there are quite a few of these subs along our path as we reach the underwater sea mine. After arguably the best part of the game, simply speeding past some rockets, we explode a patch of goopy growths and see eye to eye with one giant orb. Please ignore my horrendously bad gameplay to start things out, as I would surprisingly beat the big bomb on my first attempt. One of his 4 different compartments will open up, revealing a strange contraption, out of which will pop a sea mine. You gotta shoot these as they appear, as he's invulnerable anywhere else, and take out the other robots so as to not run into a sea of bullets. Haha, get it? Sea of bullets? Because we're in a large stretch of water? You get the point, I think. Boosting back and forth, there's nothing to this at all. Of course, this had me thinking about a second phase, which indeed appeared as his shell breaks apart. Well, now what? Because he's still invulnerable. Ah yes, patience is the key, as it usually is. After he shakes about, his entire form will come barreling towards you. This opens him up for damage, although only for a short while. And in only 3 short phases, we should get this bomb defused. The odd thing was this boss did less damage than even the second or third one we met. To be fair, I didn't get hit more than twice, which helps a lot. You know, I coulda sworn we were gonna bring him down there. 4th time's the charm, they say, as the sub Rob gets obliterated. This unlocks the vertical thruster, which allows us to boost really fast up ladders and use momentum to reach new upper areas. For some reason, the mortar upgrade still wasn't available, so instead I got more health. Not like that ever hurts anybody, but a new gun attachment was what I really had my heart set on. Now we are in Sector 6. Forget about 5. That's old news. Someone should really improve the floors around here. They have a really bad habit of dropping people into boss fights. 2 defeats later, and I think I have a good idea what this is all about. The flying whatever those are fire at you here and there. Both have separate health bars, and staying out of the middle is ideal, since then dodging either direction gets you hit. In fact, if you combine the first floater boss with the worm, you kinda get this exact moveset. What was worrisome to me was my own damage. Our auto rifle is falling off, even though it's the most reliable. Shotgun is far too difficult to swap to when I need to move so much, and the sniper, well, the sniper is more for solving puzzles than it is actually fighting. You can use it to shoot from safety, yes, but against an actual boss, you less than tickle them. While I don't have much to say about the experience here, the 2 were one hectic duo. Almost every single roll either one did hit me, as they always seemed to have me out of position. Powering up our shots sounds really cool, but it's almost never an option. I think the idea is to store up a full bar before the fight, and then enter with it activated. Deal as much damage as you can early so fights don't last long. Well, as you can see, using the energy for health leaves you dry rather instantly. Gosh, watching this back is such a mess. Almost wish I would have died again, just at least to make it look a little better than this. 1 HP and a dream, as both ancient floaters burst apart. Here, we find the parachute. When activated, it allows you to fly up gusts of wind or float down anytime you like. This is incorporated into Sector 6 heavily, as you pretty much glide across to every platform placed here. I have nothing bad to say at all, really. The abilities in the Mobius Machine are great, and always enjoyable to make use of. Unfortunately, Sector 6 has the worst area of platforming in the game. Actually, it's pretty good platforming-wise, but it's also very difficult, and with extremely limited checkpoint spots, you have to redo way too much, way too many times. Took me about an hour to explore the place, since every death meant redoing 20 minutes of hard work. And in the end, there wasn't even anything up here. But at least we can buy the mortar module now, an arcing shot that curves downward for really high damage. More battery isn't bad either, and improving the attracting upgrade is decent too, I guess. Again, the map is a complete mess. Sector 6 meets back up with Sector 2, basically providing nothing in between except for collectibles. At our main console, we see that doors 4, 5, and 7 are still locked. This part leads us to the end of the game, and apparently I missed 4 when I was in that area. It took re-exploring almost the entire water area, but close to where you find the map is one of 7 consoles opening up access to the tower. This leaves Sector 5 as our final location to unlock. A variety of floating platforms move around to clear the way. Finding every last nook and cranny I could gave me enough money to purchase more health, more power in our assault gun, and best of all, more attraction. Nice. Another bit of floor gives out from under me, and here lies the next boss. I was excited to see another robot, as this one was a giant saw that gave me a platform. Shoot the eyeball down with our powered up shots and clear out the flying bots when we can. The saw eventually pulls back in, taking away our high ground, but with a little flying, that's it. Dang, Sector 6 had a way harder boss than that. To be fair, the guy might have had more moves than that. This was just the first time I had power saved up. Probably would have been super helpful to use before now from the look of it, but whatever. His destruction lets us collect the extrapolator. The game never really explained fully what this was, other than a required material for upgrading some equipment. Because each sector connects back to another area, I traverse the rest available to me, opening up 100% of the map. All that's left is to return back to our station, enter the 7 previously locked doors, and grab the Seeker module. Okay, I gotta see if this is any good later. Aside from that, it's finally time to climb the tower of Sector 7. Alien monsters we've fought before now prowl the hallways clad in mechanical armor. The scientists were experimenting on local critters, adding machinery to their bodies, which they were successful, though it forced a complete evacuation. Our astroneer seems very confused by all this. The mortar shot was super helpful, as each opponent was much stronger. With an arcing shot, we can cheese almost anything from afar, and complete safety. The parachute keeps us safe from spiky floors as we shoot down projectiles. Closer to the top, we reach containers holding the same creature who ate us in our dream. Something is very wrong here on this world, and I intend to find out what. I will make notice here of one very challenging platform section blocking our final destination. You need to fly across these turrets as they fire at you. For the first part, I always fell down, and then you just get shot by every single trap. Makes the second part really tough, even though changing your vertical height can get you through unscathed. Lucky for me, an exit door at the top reaches all the way down to our main terminal, letting us purchase the Seeker module. Does deal a bit lower damage, but locks onto an enemy, never missing. It is now time to drop down into the final boss arena. One part gross alien, other part robotic nightmare. And he took me down once since I had no idea what to expect. On a second try, my goal was clear. Several attachments are hung around the room. We need to gun these down and break them off the boss. Using gusts of wind on the side, we can stay afloat and lock in on any extra bloaters that get summoned in. Once he's completely detached from his tentacle blobs, you can fire at his brain for big damage. The trouble is you're always going down, so only a few shots can hit him before you need more air. Seeker bullets auto down the bloaters for really easy kills, and the regular auto rifle deals our best damage for the boss's tentacles. Taking damage is very easy to do from the plasma, but only 2 rounds and he's down for the count. Oh yeah, I forgot. Final boss. Gotta have 2 phases. Now, the brain is always open for us, but he crawls around the entire arena in a circle. We have to avoid bloater plasma, boss plasma, roly-polies chasing us down, and it's safe to say this got pretty crazy. Once again, moving less seemed to help me perform better as I could target down the minions. So much energy is dropped that I kept out healing anything the boss got me with. All the bosses have genuinely been really fun Metroidvania bosses. You're always looking at a very different design, and usually you need to use the most recently found equipment to take them on. In this case, we mainly rely on our booster and our parachute. For a final boss, he really does feel like a final boss, which is not always a compliment you can give out. It took some time, and I gave the monster more than enough chances to win himself. However, today was not his day, and the basic auto rifle wins for the very last time. Alas, we have reached another console. This is where the distress signal originally came from, but no one seems to be home. It appears a vessel is in space. We might as well ask them for help ourselves. But as we give out the SOS, our own voice responds over the comms, and as the camera pans up, there it is. The monster from my nightmares. The credits roll and my mind swirls with questions. Are we stuck in some sort of time loop? Is this monster feeding off of us endlessly? How did the scientists create such a beast in the first place? Was it all meaningless? With about 77% completion, I'm thinking, okay, maybe 100%ing the in-game counter won't be too bad. Collectibles and crates of money litter the map for me to go back to. After completing Sector 1 over again, I was hopeful that most others I would have already found. Well, drat. We moved up a whole 3% to 80. Jeez, I don't think that's gonna work for me. Ultimately, the Mobius Machine was a really cool experience. The boss fights are all great, the platforming is very solid for the most part, and while there isn't much story to speak of, it had me at the edge of my seat. However, the Steam achievements are way not worth it. I don't even want to try and speedrun this game. Sounds like a complete nightmare. And unfortunately, the map, which is typically the most important part of a Metroidvania, is my least favorite part of the game. Not to mention, to get 100% of the collectibles, we would need to basically replay the entire thing. But that's okay, I guess. Not every game is made for everyone to 100%, and what I got out of this experience I think was worth it. This game has great abilities to unlock, terrific graphics, and a really nice overall setting. I also found out later on that there is a secret ending where you can manage to get out of the time loop, so that's kinda cool. There you have the Mobius Machine beaten in about 13 hours. If you enjoyed the video, do consider liking, subbing, commenting, any interactivity helps. And that's about it from me, folks. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.